Hi, this is Eric Elder. I'm glad you're here to listen to this night's episode of Bedtime Stories of Faith. I have a special night for you tonight. I want to tell you a story called Elevator Conversation from my book, My Stories of Faith. And I also want to introduce a new song to you that was just finished. We just finished the vocals on it yesterday, and it is gorgeous. And it's called Is There Room for Me? And I think you're going to really like it. It's just really beautiful, and I just can't wait to share it with you. So I'll share that near the end. But right now, I want to read to you this story called Elevator Conversation. And really, it has to do with that idea of taking a step of faith and walking it out. And even though you don't know all the steps ahead of you, how God can reveal them to you as you go. And so if you take a step, God shows you the next step, and he shows you the next step, and he shows you the next step. And so I want to read to you this story. This is a continuation of my story of how I went into full-time ministry 25 years ago, and I had gone to pray for a woman in Texas. God had said he was going to heal her. He said this was going to mark the beginning of my ministry. He wanted me to quit my job the next day, which I was tormented about, could not do. I wanted to do, but I couldn't do. And the second day, I decided that I was going to do it. And a job after 9 years, and I just needed to walk out in faith, not knowing what was next, but I knew that God wanted me to do that. So here's the story called Elevator Conversation. I went to my office that morning with only one goal in mind: to turn in my badge and my letter of resignation. Because I worked in the computer department, I wasn't able to give 2 weeks' notice, or any notice for that matter. We had access to too much sensitive data to allow us to linger any length of time if they knew that we were leaving. So the protocol was to turn in your badge, pack your things into a box, and be escorted by security on your way out of the building. I knew my time would be limited once I told anyone I was quitting, so I quickly said some goodbyes to a few of my co-workers, then turned in my badge. As I walked towards the elevator lobby on the 4th floor, where my office was located, with my box in my hands and a security guard at my side, one of my co-workers followed me. "Why are you quitting today?" he asked. I had decided I wasn't going to make this an evangelistic departure, talking about God and all that he was doing in my life. I was just trying to get through it the best I could, with a mixture of fear and faith both competing for my attention inside me. I tried to brush off his question with a generic answer about it being a good time to go, given all the changes going on in the company and in the industry. He didn't buy it. "But why today?" he asked. "Why now?" He was an Asian man from our artificial intelligence group, genuinely kind, but from what I knew of our previous conversations, he was a devout atheist. I didn't want to answer him, but his voice was somehow pleading for the truth, so I told him. "To be honest," I said, "God told me to quit yesterday, but I couldn't do it, so I'm quitting today." He burst into tears, saying, "If God told you to do it, you've got to do it." He went on to tell me that he had recently become a Christian. He was dating a woman who went to a church in town and had unfortunately gotten pregnant. He started going to church with her, put his faith in Christ, and told me that when the baby would be born in a few months' time and was baptized, he was going to be baptized too. I couldn't believe it, but I couldn't believe what he told me next even more. He asked me what I was going to do, and I told him I had no idea. He said, "Eric, you've got to get online and start telling people about Jesus." What he actually said was, "You've got to get on CompuServe or AOL." That shows how long ago this was, as the internet as we know it today was still in its infancy. He continued, "You've got to get online and start telling people about Jesus. There are people like me online all hours of the day and night looking for answers, and you've got them." He even offered to pay for my CompuServe or AOL account. The door of the elevator opened. I said goodbye, walked into it with my box and my escort. I rode down to the lobby and walked out of the building, shaking my head as I walked, wondering if that really was God speaking to me through someone whom I thought, just minutes earlier, had been one of my atheistic friends. Apparently, it was God speaking, for I've been doing just what he said, sharing with people about Jesus online ever since that day. That was 25 years ago. I really didn't know what I was going to do next. And I started a website soon after that because I wasn't sure what else to do. I didn't know if God wanted me to go to seminary. I didn't know if he wanted me to pastor a church. I didn't know if he wanted me to go work for some ministry somewhere. But I knew how to create a website because that's what I had just done for my company and what I was just walking away from. So I did what I knew how to do. I put my testimony on it. I shared it with others. And people started writing to me from all over the world, asking for prayer, asking for encouragement. I started putting my music online. People started listening to it and just telling me that they would put it on at night and they'd listen to it until they woke up in the morning. I'm not sure how many people heard my music. They were probably sleeping through it, but they said it was relaxing and calming to them. And